Hey, welcome back to the No Comfort Zone. It's Dan, and I'm going to start interviewing people. And if you want to be on this program, you need to go to dan@thenocomfortzone.com, and you need to tell me your story of adversity and how you became successful. I would love to hear your story. I'll see you on the inside.
Welcome.
Attention, please.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome to the No Comfort Zone podcast. It's time to get out of your comfort zone and live on purpose. Broadcasting to the world from Rockford, Illinois. This is your wake-up call.
Warning.
You are the solutions to all your problems. Stop thinking average. Become the hero version of yourself. Every day, every time, without fail, no exceptions. It all matters. You've entered the No Comfort Zone. It's time for a reality check.
Hey, this is your reality check. This is Dan Brzezowski. I wanted to welcome you back to the program. Today, what I'm going to be talking about is a story about a relationship and why it's important and how it relates to the No Comfort Zone. So, in case you don't know, my name's Dan. About 15 years ago, I fell into average after a coma. Got myself into a bad situation with drugs, alcohol, divorce, IRS. Left me unable to walk for a minute or two in a coma and also couldn't talk. And now I was a motivational speaker. And could you imagine that, being that much of a train wreck, and you're motivating audiences all over California, Las Vegas, and different parts of the country, even Canada, my friends. International motivational speaker who wasn't worth his salt. When reality did catch up with me, I realized something, that my life was in ruin. I didn't want to be here anymore, and I just realized that I better do something, otherwise I'm going to be in a worse place. So what I decided to do was I found a nice average job and did an average job for a long time. Was afraid to take risk because life kicked me in the balls one too many times. And I decided, you know what, fuck it. I cannot live like this anymore. Now I'm overweight. I am in another relationship. I don't see my kids nearly as much as I wanted to. And I realized that my life's falling all over apart once again. And I realized I needed to do something. So in August, I went to the doctor I was having like heart issues or whatever you want to call it, anxiety, call it whatever you want. But when I visited the doctor, he let me know straight up. He goes, bro, you're like overweight. You're borderline diabetic. Your blood sugar's off the charts. Your cholesterol's nasty. You have all these different problems going on in your life, and you're unhealthy and highly stressed, and you got to do something. Like what? Basically told me to go start running on a treadmill. I said, I'll go check out a gym membership. He's like, Dan, I need to do something like now. I looked at myself in the mirror. I went downstairs in the basement that was full of clutter and stuff. And some of these days I'll show you those pictures. And I began running in place. And basically after about 20 minutes, completely exhausted, sweating, thought my heart was going to jump out of my chest, I realized that I have become a complete failure and I played it safe far too long. It's from that moment on that the No Comfort Zone was invented. Started getting it up really early in the morning, tried to beat the alarm clock, and started my days by running in place, listening to Les Brown scream at me and telling me that you got to be hungry. And I became more and more hungry, and I started to find more and more resources, started to read a lot more, started to enhance my goals, and started to take people with me along this No Comfort Zone journey. Produced a few pretty good salespeople along the way, achieved wonderful business results. After 90 days, I dropped the mic, and I was able to leave my job. Sorry, that was actually after about 60 days. I was able to leave my job, a great job, by the way, and walk off. And one of those reasons was because I was just not going to be put into a position anymore where anyone was going to talk down to me or control my future. It was entirely up to me. So I walked off. Decided to write my book, decided to go speak to audiences about the No Comfort Zone, was hired by one client to talk about the No Comfort Zone. After that hour and a half speech turned into a 3-day seminar, turned into about 2 months worth of training on salesmanship and ethics, management, leadership, and goal setting. And then they ended up hiring me to run one of their retail locations, and now I run 3 of their retail locations. And I want to let you know this journey is far from over. Now, why do I tell you that? Because in my journey, I met somebody along the way who kind of connected the dots. Salesperson with me, his name is Steve Brown. Steve ended up working with me for a short time period. He moved from Southern Illinois and came up. We hit it off right away. We had commonalities. We like cars, we like sales, and we liked watches. And Steve would always be around whenever I had a morsel of information or a nugget of salesmanship. He would always take it and run with it because he's a classy guy and he's a good salesperson. He always had ambitions, but he just was going through an adverse time period, family situations, relocating in a different mix. He was the man where he was at in Southern Illinois, and now coming up here, he had to work his way back up, and it's a tough thing. I've done it many times. Hats off to him because he kept at it. He worked his way up and did pretty well. And along the way, we became better and better friends, and I saw how good of a salesperson he was, and he ended up moving to another company. And when he went to another company, when I resigned my position, when I got out of my no comfort zone, we stayed in touch. He ended up getting me an audience with that company that I ended up going to speak to and then working with. And it was a wonderful experience, and I'll always thank him for that because that was huge. But the interesting part about Steve, and we worked together for a while, he became a business manager, and we did a couple deals together where he worked for me in my stores where I work at now. And then he ended up leaving. He ended up getting out of the industry, automobile industry entirely, to follow his passion, to follow his purpose in life. And that's where the story kind of begins. So I know we're into this podcast a little bit, but what's great about this story is I would always do a sales meeting, and my intention whenever I do a sales meeting, even now, is to understand where the audience is at, align with them, identify who they are and where they're at. Even though I work with them, it's different day to day. People always have something going on. Figure out what the room is all about. Then I want to take them to a certain place. And that place I want to take them is to a level of inspiration and motivation. And I do that through training. I always thought it was a good idea that if I'm going to help somebody sell or be persuasive or get in the right frame of mind, I better give them 3 techniques or every time. And I've done meetings since 2001. I have been in this environment since 2001, and it's 2022 now. And I've done many meetings for many size audiences. The biggest one I did was 3,000 people, and that was pretty amazing. And, as much as 2 people. But my job is to motivate and inspire based on techniques that I've read about, that I've learned about, that I've applied and got results with. And also, I use media to do that. I don't know if you've seen it, but the Steve Harvey video about Jump is one of my favorite ones. And I watch that every now and again, every time I need an attitude adjustment. If you haven't seen it, go find it on YouTube. Steve Harvey, at the end of the Family Feud show, he talks to the audience and he gives them a little bit of information, a little bit of motivation. And it's wonderful. And he talks about jumping. And when you jump, you're going to have to trust that those wings open. And on the way down, you're going to scrape your knees. It's going to be tough. But believe it or not, when you jump and you have that faith and that belief and that determination, it's going to work out. Case in point, his story, Steve Harvey's story, is amazing. You should check that out on YouTube as well. But with Steve was ready to leave the room that day. But he did the right thing. He made money, he saved money, COVID happened. One thing led to another. Adversity came his way. He got to a point where he had an opportunity to get into this vintage watch business. And if you need a vintage watch, there is not a more knowledgeable person about watches, watchmaking, the idiosyncrasies of getting parts for watches. The guy is a genius. And Steve literally is going to change the vintage watch industry. He ended up getting one watch, retail, fixed it, cleaned it up and stuff, and so on and so on and so on. He ended up getting to a point where he had to take a lot of money and invest a lot of money in watches. And I found out later after he did it, he was so terrified and nervous, but the person in his life said, you need to just do it. You need to do it. And that gave him just enough strength to turn that money over to collect these watches. And he will tell you this, that was every penny he had. He put it all on the line and then some. He completely got out of his comfort zone with will and determination, and he realized that this was the most uncomfortable thing he had to do. But when he did it, he felt free. Isn't that funny? He felt free. He jumped, and he felt free. Then he ends up taking that information, the watches, and he starts cleaning them up and inventorying them. And he can tell you the story because I'm definitely going to have him on this program. He is the epitome of the no comfort zone. He is everything that there is about the no comfort zone. He left his industry that he loves, the automobile industry, and now he's in the vintage watch reselling business, cleaning business, parts business, worldwide, and he is crushing it. He is a dominant force. He's the Gary Vee of the vintage watch industry. He is just crushing. His name's Steve Brown, and I'll try to find a link that I can repost in this program. But when you listen to his story about when he put that money over and his life savings, he pretty much gave over for these watches, and he wasn't sure how it was going to go. But he'll tell you it was one of the best decisions he ever made. And even though he's had extreme success in his life, he is nowhere where he wants to be. He's going to the next level, and he'll tell you every time he has to get rid of that much money, it's never comfortable. Isn't that funny? You do the things that are uncomfortable, and you get the reward. His reward is working on or with these watches. It ain't about the money. The money's a safety net. The money's a byproduct. It's about really working with people in these watches. I call him up all the time for watch advice. I love watches. I'm an Omega guy. I'm a Rolex guy. I'm old school that way. I love watches, and I love talking to Steve about it. And he goes in depth on some crazy level stuff with these watches. He just showed me one the other day. It was a watch that was actually signed by Henry Ford II, I believe. And if you know anything about Henry Ford I, he was involved in watchmaking before he ever got involved in the automobile industry. Just fascinating story. So when you listen to a guy like Steve, you compare it to your own life. What are you holding on to? What do you need to exchange in order for you to get your purpose going, for you to get that freedom? Where do you need to jump from or jump to in order for where it is you need to go? This is my jumping by talking to you and motivating. I want to motivate the world based on the no comfort zone. Damn near killed me. I was in a coma because I was so afraid to go into my purpose. And then when I finally went into my purpose, after all these years, I finally woke up. I was in a coma for a minute. 7 days, I was down and out. Now I get to a point where for the next 10 years or so, I'm flatlining. I'm a corporate corpse in America. People think I'm this and they think I'm that. And like my last podcast I did, everyone's liking me and stuff, but in the mirror, I'm looking and I'm like, I'm average. What happened to you? You used to be the guy that people used to go to in Vegas to learn how to sell cars. You used to be the guy that would actually have principal owners standing on the top of their seat, screaming at the top of their lungs and getting passion back in their business and their lives. And here I am flatlining in the Midwest, playing it safe because I'm afraid of addiction. I'm afraid of relationships. I'm afraid of putting it out there. I'm afraid of money even because all the money I've ever earned I had to give to everybody else. Can't keep it anyway. And then I realized, you know what? Screw it. Everyone messed with me to a point, and I just had enough. I'm going to do this. I'm going to lose the weight. I'm going to lose the 30 pounds. I'm going to increase my income substantially. I'm going to do it through with what I know and love, and that's ethical sales persuasion and genuine leadership. I'm going to have a goal, and I'm going to achieve it. I achieved the goal so much earlier, I said, I cannot believe this. I put my heart and my focus into a specific area here and a specific area there and a specific area there. And I'll be damned, within a 60-day time period, did I not achieve those goals. 60 days, your life will change. Most people don't believe it, but most people are a little soft. A guy like Steve, he resigned his position, he put everything he had, he bet on it, and he's living in his purpose now. And here's a guy who doesn't have to take a check from the man anymore. Here's a guy who's actually doing it every day, every time, without fail, no exceptions. The guy loses time because he's spending so much time working in his business. A day could go by and he's like, holy shit, a day just passed. That's how much this guy's living in his purpose. Fixing watches, helping people, answering questions, and making a difference in the vintage watch business. What's your comfort zone? Do you even know what it's at? Look in the mirror. Say to yourself, today's the day I'm getting out of my comfort zone. The NoComfortZone.com, it's a real place. Go there. Do me a favor. You want to change your life? Get on the phone with me for 20 minutes. 20 minutes. I'll turn your life around. I'm going to give you a blueprint at the end of it that's going to be a path for you to take that you can run with. You can change your life and the people's lives around you, seriously, no matter what you're doing. You're a day trader? Great. You should take my blueprint. You work at Starbucks? Take my blueprint. It's going to change your life. You want to have different relationships with different people? You want to travel the world? You want to start living for once? Grab my blueprint. It's going to help you. I guarantee you your life is going to change if you apply the principles in the No Comfort Zone blueprint. Listen, the clock is ticking. 60 days from now, you're going to be either the same person, doing the same thing, feeling the same way, getting the same results, blah, 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 total meh. Or 60 days from now, you're going to look back at this and go, fuck yeah, I made those last 60 days my bitch. I completely own where I'm going in my life, and I'm doing it the right way. And at that moment, you can find peace. When you put it all on the line and you cash all your chips in, you're going to find some peace. Do yourself a favor. I believe in you, you're worthy, and you're worthwhile. Today's the day you get out of your comfort zone and you live on purpose.
Say goodbye.
Want more of the No Comfort Zone? You can follow Dan on Instagram and Twitter at NoComfortZone1.
Bye.
Or on the web at thenocomfortzone.com.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the No Comfort Zone podcast.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.